We headed towards the Olympic coast to enjoy several nights and multiple days backpacking, exploring all the wonders and the beauty that the coastline has to offer. The wonders of the ocean and the wildlife throughout the day, and then, of course, the glorious sunsets over the ocean in the evening. Our first trip in would be this loop trail around Lake Ozette, a very popular area for very, very good reason, as you'll see. As is common on these coastal hikes, we would spend some time in the forest enjoying the trees, the moss, and all the fungi, and then we would break out onto the beautiful beaches for the camping areas. The next day dawned quite foggy, which is also common, we discovered, and this day we would discover how rough it is sometimes in some places hiking along the coastline. Throughout this series, you'll see several different reasons for this all throughout the same morning. Aside from carefully selecting every footstep among the rocks, you'll come to these areas here where there's a point of land, and if the water is high, you must go up these paths using the rope and go up and over the point. Some of them you have to do this anyway, but there are others when the water is low that you can actually continue to follow the beach or the coastline around the front of the point, which is fortunately what we got to do this time. I must admit that one thing I didn't foresee on the coastline was working our way over deadfalls, but here and there it did occur. There were also positive surprises, such as this one. We certainly weren't expecting it.
It had to be carved into ocean line so much.
We really enjoyed this campsite. One, for this table that someone had established from drift stuff, drift wood, drift junk. Also, watching for wildlife, which I had brought my binoculars for, and of course, later the sunset. Well, the tide is low. I'm heading out here to get to the westernmost tip. Nothing but a couple of small rocky islands and then water. Funny, I used to sit at the other side of this body of water growing up looking across it, and here I am looking west from here. Here's the westernmost tip here in the lower 48, right here. Waiting for sunset. I'll zoom in and do a quick pan. Seals, oh, there's a steelhead right there if you can see it. Seals are popping up all throughout this area, doing some fishing. Earlier they were sunning themselves on the rocks. As we made our way back up into the woods the next morning, we crossed over here what is the all-important water source. It is kind of strange, at least to me, to have such a vast body of water right next to you making noise all the time, and yet you still need fresh water. Not only is this all broken apart and still standing, but check out the gnarly twist on this tree all the way up. Well, I can certainly recommend this loop trail if you ever have the opportunity. And they have a sign here to remind us as we're heading into the wilderness. Please enjoy and protect. As we make our way over the bridge and back towards our vehicle, we're ready for the next trip. All along this coast, hopefully one day we'll do it all in one go along the Pacific Northwest Trail. But for now, it was on to the next overnight trip, which would prove even a little bit more challenging. This is an area we had read about, and although we didn't have time or the ability to walk all of it, we decided to pick a portion of it, go in and see what it was all about, and we're really glad that we did. As before, we started in the forest, but it wasn't long till we could see the ocean through the trees and made our way down to the beach to walk along and on the sand and listen to the crash of the surf. It wasn't long, however, till it was time to turn back up into the woods, this time with a bit of a twist. It was a beautiful view once you got up above and surveyed down where we had come from. I was certainly proud of my wife for attempting this and being successful, of course, because it was some work, especially with her injured foot. But I'm sure she was as glad as I was having accomplished it, and you can see she is proud as she ought to be. I made it down off the point down to this beautiful beach and was enjoying the ocean, but Holly also had to make it down to the beach. As evening was approaching, we decided to stay at this small beach, also for the fact that at the next beach, most of the people would be at the main campsite, so we would have this small beach to explore all to ourselves and enjoy the sunset. This might have been our most unique find on any of the beaches, but definitely that one. And then as I enjoyed my supper for a few minutes in the evening, I was able to look back from where we'd come from at our tent, and then of course survey the scene over the ocean and the beach spread out all before us. It was definitely a magnificent evening. The next morning, we decided to leave camp where it was and take a day hike up and over the next point over to the next larger beach and do some exploring, especially as we had heard there were some pretty good tide pools over there. It always amazes me how things live in these tide pools with the currents constantly coming and going to and fro. It seemed like no time at all, but it was time to head back in the direction we had come from and enjoy our journey and steps backwards. Going from beach to forest and back to beach, we'd break back out for one short distance and enjoy the view once again and listen to the surf before ending our journey.